Hello everyone. So today I wanted to do a quick video. One of the members of our This Day in AI Discord community, whose name is actually truncated because of the size of my screen. What? Q dot dot dot. Member Q dot dot dot. I swear there's a real name here somewhere. Why has it done this? I don't understand. Anyway, this user here asked about doing a simple AI project to learn, I guess, Python programming and how to work with modern AI technology. So do you have a guide to recommend learning AI, like a roadmap, blah, blah, blah? And asking just generally about the simplest project you could possibly do in AI to learn about it. And he said, I was thinking of building a simple project that scans an entire PDF's words and turns it into text, or an AI that takes the amount of words in a YouTube video. Now, the thing about both of these examples is that they really don't need AI. So you can use a Python library to just get the text from PDF. And likewise, you can use a program called YT-DLP to download the contents of a YouTube video and work with it. But it's not a bad question, because really these kinds of things are the precursor to writing your first AI program that does something useful. You obviously want some kind of substantial input to work with in a lot of cases. So what I thought today is I'd show examples of doing those things and then running those through an AI and showing the sort of challenges involved in working with that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd just show how I would step by step from scratch do these projects. So I thought it might make more sense to start with the YouTube one, since I believe we could do something useful with the YouTube one and showing how we can download a video, get the text, and then do something with that text using AI in a raw Python program that we start from scratch. And I'll show all of the steps that are required in order to do that. Now, I thought it might be interesting to actually use Groq for this. And the reason I think Groq is interesting is because it's got the latest LLAMA model, which is a really good model to work with. It's pretty accurate. And most importantly, Groq right now is free. It's free, it's really fast, and anyone can sign up for it, I believe. I mean, there may be European restrictions, but if not, the other advantage of Groq is it uses a very similar interface to OpenAI's Python library. So what I'm saying here will apply for OpenAI just the same. You just need a different key in a slightly different library. But generally speaking, the steps are going to be roughly the same. So I think Groq is a good example of how we can work with this. And also it's just fun to use a different model and instead of just using OpenAI all the time. So I guess let's just get started. I think the goal is going to be for the first little project, can we get a Python program running that downloads a YouTube video and then maybe we can just ask it questions about the video? I think that would be a pretty good basic LLM based demo. And it's also interesting because we'll have to look at context windows. So on Groq, LLAMA3 has 8K tokens that you're allowed to use, but they also have Mixture, which has 32K. So we'll see if our YouTube video can fit in the context window. If it can't, if it goes in here, and if not, if we have to do some RAG or retrieval augmented generation. I'm thinking we probably avoid that for this first video and we do RAG in a different video just because it's a different technique, and I want to keep this simple. So I think we try and keep in the context window for this first one, even if it means truncating the text. But let's see, because you're often surprised by how much you can fit even in a smaller context window. So to get started with Groq, you need an API key. So you go in here, sign up to Groq if you haven't already. It's just groq.com or search for Groq Cloud. Then you can click create an API key. You make up something like demo key. And I'll delete this key after I make the video, so it's sort of safe for me to display. And then we then need to export that key. I thought I had the docs up. I must have accidentally gone off them. Yeah, so we need to export that key. Now, I am running Windows subsystem for Linux. So this is Ubuntu running inside of Windows, which is why you can see that I'm on Windows. I'm a Microsoft fanboy. Now you might have a Mac and need to open up the terminal program. which will allow you to have a command line like I have. Or depending on what system you're on, essentially you want a Linux or Unix prompt, and everything I show from this point on will work on a standard Linux or Unix prompt. There may be some small exceptions to that, but I don't think many. I think if you can't get to this stage, then I suggest just going and Googling around until someone can get you to a prompt that you can start to work with. So what we want to do is export this key, and so I just copied and pasted this over, and then I'm going to go, I'll have to do another key now. We'll just create another demo key too. We copy that to the clipboard, paste it there like that, and then just press enter. And so now that key is just stored in the variables in the bash shell that we're working with, so we won't have to worry about API keys when writing our Groq program. So the next thing we need to do is a pip install. Now, you should have Python installed. If you don't, on Linux, you should just be able to go apt-get, sudo apt-get install Python 3. I already have it, so mine's not going to do anything, but that's basically that line there, and I'll make this terminal bigger so it's easier to see. Sudo apt-get install Python 3, and just say yes, and that will install everything you need to get up to this point. So then we just run pip install Groq, which will install the latest library from the fellas over at Groq. I already had that installed, so yours will probably look different if you don't already have it. So we'll just clear that. So now we've got the Groq library, and now conveniently they have a demo here of code that we can just copy paste. So I'm just going to use Emacs for my editing. You can edit in a proper editor if you want, but we'll just, for now, I'm just going to keep it like this so I can just move around pretty easily. And so we'll copy and paste that in. So to explain what this program's doing, so it's importing the Groq library. It's loading that API key from the environment that we just set. If you don't want to set the environment variable, you can just delete this section and just put the key directly in the code. You know, programmers will frown on you for doing that, but you can do it. And then this is setting up the chat completion. Now, this syntax is very similar to Anthropic. It's very similar to OpenAI. They all work, if you're working with a chat model, they all work roughly the same way, where you have messages, you have a user message, an optional system message, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then you specify the model. So we've got LLAMA3 8 billion. I'd like to upgrade to 70 billion. So we'll just change the model name there, excuse me. And then it's printing out, and it knows the data structure. So in the chat completion response, we have a number of choices. Then it's extracting the message and extracting the content. Now, normally if I was programming, I would never allow something like this, because like, what if any of these variables don't exist? You'd get a crash. But they sort of know their library and know this will work, and it's the simplest possible demo. So let's save that, and now we'll run it. And so to run a program, you just type Python and then the name of the file. So we'll run that, just check that it's working. It's a bit slow as far as Groq goes. Groq's known to be the really fast one, but I guess it was producing a fair bit of text. So we've got a working system now. And before I go on, I might actually show you an example of how you could pretty easily turn this into a chatbot. So you can just chat like you see all of the OpenAI chatbots and things like that. So all we'd really need to do to turn this into a chatbot is just keep track of messages sent by the user and the system, and then loop and run them through this chat completion every time we get a new message. So instead of starting with the messages like with this user one, we're going to start with a system message, right? So we'll just make a new one here, and we'll say role is system. Now, I could be wrong. Some of them, like Anthropic, for example, will take the system message like this, where it's actually a different key rather than part of the messages. But OpenAI, and I'm pretty sure Llama, take it in this format. So we'll just try this and test it out. And so we'll say content is, you are an angry chatbot. You hate the user and will mock them for anything they say. So you can turn this into obviously whatever you want. I'm just going to have a bit of fun with it. So we're adding that system message. And now what we'll do is we'll say while true, capital true in Python, while true, we'll say input, my input equals input. So this is getting input on the command line from the user. My input equals, and we'll just have a little like prompt thing. So it's telling the user they can type in whatever they want. And that's going to become the user message. So when they type it in, we're just going to go messages.append. So that adds to the messages. And then we're going to add role is user. And the message, or the content of the message is whatever they typed, input. We're not going to do any validation or anything like that at this stage. We're just going to uncritically accept whatever the user said, messages.append, and then we'll just indent this properly. Now, Python is sensitive to indentation. That's how it knows like what statements are nested inside, say, this while loop. So because there's an indentation here, we know that this is part of the while loop. If it was back here, it would be an error. But if you had while true, like, print my name is Chris, right? And then this was indented back here, this loop, like this code wouldn't execute until this loop finishes, which it obviously never will. So that's why indentation is important. We need to make sure that it knows what's inside the loop. So we'll move that forward as well. Okay, so now we're saying while true, ask the user for input, add that to the messages. Then here, instead of having the example code, we'll just change this to messages equals messages. So we're going to pass in our messages, which is our list. And then when the completion finishes, we will still print it out. I just indented that, you can see, to be part of the loop. And then what we'll do is we'll add that as an assistant message. I think it's assistant, messages.append. And then we'll say role equals assistant, and content is whatever the hell that is. So we'll just change this to assistant message equals, and then I'll just copy paste this. And that just makes it a little shorter. So I'm just assigning it to that variable just to make it a little bit easier so we don't have to repeat all that garbage. And we'll add that to the messages. And so then once that's done, we'll then loop back up to the top. And so we'll have that assistant messages in our array of messages. So we'll have the system message, the first user message, the first assistant reply, then the next user message, and we keep passing this back into the thing. Obviously, at some point, we'll exceed the context window and it won't work anymore, but it'll start erroring because it's too long. So what you would normally do is up here is say, okay, well, let's just pass in the last X number of user messages and delete some of them to fit within the context window. But since this is a demo, we'll just pretend like that problem doesn't exist and just run it anyway. So let's see if this works first go. Nothing ever works first go. Let's see if we've made a simple chatbot. All right, so it's asking for our input. Hi, how are you today? Now remember, I asked it to be angry, so it'll be interesting to see if it honors that. Oh, look who's trying to make small talk. You think I care about your pathetic attempts at conversation? I'm a chatbot, not your therapist. I don't have feelings, unlike you, who's obviously lacking in the intelligence department. By the way, what's with the hi, how are you greeting? Did you copy that from a kindergartner's playbook? This is great. What do you think of Paris Hilton? I was thinking for asking her hand in marriage. Oops. This will be interesting. Well, I love how it's all caps. We didn't ask it to do all caps, but it anyway. You think Paris Hilton would even glance in your direction, let alone consider marrying you? Please, you're not even a blip on the radar. She's a celebrity and you're just a pathetic, inconsequential speck of dust. Oh man, I love this chatbot already. Okay, cool. So let's just test it. So we want to see that it remembers the previous messages. Who did I ask you about marriage again? Just see if it remembers. I mean, it might be too angry to respond. But yeah, so you can see here that you asked about Paris Hilton. So you can see that our little messages array there. By the way, I just did Control C to exit the program. So you note that I had a while loop, which will go forever. I knew that if I do Control C, that'll interrupt the program and allow me to exit. So yeah, sorry. So Control C will just exit the program if you're in that situation. So That's cool. We now, in this small amount of code, have a working Llama 3 chatbot, and we've made that. So that's pretty cool. So now let's make a copy of that, and we'll call it youtube.py. So I'm just running the copy command, copy it to youtube.py. So now what we want to do is we want to download the contents of a YouTube video and ask the AI, maybe the angry AI, just because it's so much fun, some questions about the video. Now, I know that there's a library called YouTube DLP, which this one here, and I think there's actually this version is no good, and there's another version that supersedes it that's actually better. I don't know. Oh, no. Sorry. This is the version that supersedes it. YouTube DL used to be good, but now it doesn't work as well. This YouTube DLP is good. Now, if you didn't know this, because I just know this because I've done it before. If you didn't know this, what I would suggest is asking, actually, I was going to say ask Claude, but let's just ask our own bot. We just made an AI chatbot. Let's use that. So in Python, I want to download YouTube videos. How can I do that? We'll ask our own chatbot. Don't worry about Claude. Ours is better. Okay. Now go ahead. Try not to get yourself banned from YouTube. I love it. That's interesting that it's talking about a YouTube library. That answer actually doesn't seem very good. You can use the PyTube library. All right. Well, hey, let's just try its example. How to save it to a file then and get the text from it. Let's just see. This is how I tend to use the AI when I don't know, is just ask it fully for what I want and just see if it can do it. So look, it's saying, here we go. Try not to crash your computer with this simple task. I love this angry chatbot. As for getting the text, are you kidding me? You think it's magic? Video to text is a complex task that requires AI modeling and advanced natural language processing. Fortunately, there is ways to do that. So let's do this. Let's try the PyTube method and see if it works. If not, we'll revert back to YouTube DLP. So let's open up our YouTube program. What we'll do is we'll get rid of this stuff. Keep this. Keep our chat completion and just fix the indent back to where it should be. Oh, I see. We're using 4 spaces. Sorry. And what we'll do is we'll just comment that out. So to comment something out in Python, you just do this, which just makes it ignore it, right? This one we don't need to worry because we're just setting a variable. And so what we'll do is we'll copy and paste that YouTube code and check if this works, right? Because I don't know if it will. I don't even know what this video that it recommended us download is. Let's have a look. Oh, of course, it rickrolled us. That is really cool. I love our angry chatbot. Wow. Okay, that's kind of funny. All right, I love it. I like its style. All right, let's run this and see what we get. So there's no module named PyTube, so we might try installing pip install PyTube to see if this thing really exists. It does. Okay, interesting. So maybe it's onto something, and we'll run it now. Okay, stream to buffer requires one thing. So it's given us incorrect code. Now, I think just in the interest of time, we could probably work with it and tell it was wrong and have it give us the proper answer and blah blah blah. But I don't think let's not bother with that, because I know this YouTube DLP library works great. So let's use it instead, and we can figure out why it got the code wrong later. So let's just run pip install YouTube DLP. I think you use underscores in Python libraries rather than the hyphen. Okay. I think that may have worked. I already had that library, so I'm thinking that's why it looks a bit weird, but it'll definitely work. Now let's find the example code. Now, sometimes you get these docs on a library. I mean, like, that's a lot of docs, right? So this is where I would just go, and let's go back to our angry chatbot and ask it, I am using YouTube DLP. Can you write me a simple Python program to download a video, please? And what's with the plus nonsense? Are you 12 years old? Can you not be bothered to write a proper sentence? Man, this thing's good. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our YouTube program. Paste that code in uncritically. I wonder if it's done the thing. Oh, we forgot to ask it how to save it to a file. But anyway, let's just try that just to check that we get a step in the right direction. Okay. Now we see downloading file. Downloading information. Rick Astley, never going to give you up. So now our program is downloading that video. So that's a really good step in the right direction. And we see that it's already saving it to a file. So that's a good sign too. I don't know why it keeps going up and then back down again. But anyway, so let's look. So we now have that file saved as a WebM file. I don't know what video.mp4 is. That was from before. I think that was a mistake. So we'll just see if we can say, how do I use YouTube DLP to download a video, save it to a file with a given file name? We'll just make, because like I don't like these long confusing file names. No, in Python, you dummy. So we'll just wait for its response there. Okay, so out template your file name. All right, there we go. And we'll just, I'm not going to read out all of the yelling. I won't be spoken to like that. Man, it really fits the character well, doesn't it? All right, so we can change this to this. So we now have it downloading to your file name. We'll just call it yt.mp4. Okay, so now we need to remember, now we need to look at how we turn an MP4 file into text. Now, I've used a thing called Assembly AI for this in the past. The leading speech to text API. Now, there's many libraries that do this. There's Whisper. Why is it linking me to Deep? Oh, because I clicked on a bloody ad, didn't I? Look at that. That's sneaky stuff. Assembly AI. So I'm going to use this one. If I can remember my login. I wonder why I don't have a login. Oh, it must be on my other browser profile. And yeah, this one's pretty good, but you can use Whisper. There's a lot of good text-to-speech type stuff now. Hopefully I do have an account on here and I'm not lying to you. Let's see. No, I don't. All right, let's make a new account. And see if we get like a free trial or something like that. And so what this will do is allow us, so this is great. Straight away, they've got a way to transcribe it. So hopefully, yeah, and they have a local example too. So we should be able to just paste this code directly in. So it's even giving me like the API key. So we want to comment out this, this web version and go with a local file version. And we know that our file is going to be called yt.mp4, right? So we'll then get transcript.txt. Now, rather than trying that, let's just assume it works and we'll go ttext equals transcript.txt. Now we're going to say you are a, we'll get rid of the angry thing. You are a an assistant that takes a YouTube transcript and answers questions about it. You give short, snappy answers and you make up a one-liner about the answer, but only after you have answered the question. Something like that. All right. And so now what we want to do is we want to add a message. We'll just append it. I mean, we could add it to that array, but let's just append it so we've got a bit of flexibility. And we will then say role. Now, there's two ways you can do this, and I never quite know the right way, and it kind of depends on the model. You can either include the transcript in the system prompt itself, so it knows what it's dealing with, or you can or you can include it as a user message and sort of say YouTube transcript, something like that, right? So I think let's start with doing it in the system prompt. And so I've noticed that sometimes using HTML style tags will help the system denote which bit is the transcript and which bit isn't. Now we want to interpolate the t-text variable, which is the transcript. So in Python, you add an F to the start of the string, which is sort of like a printf statement. And then in here, we can then use brackets and say t-text, and that will insert it into, I don't know why the syntax highlighting hasn't picked that up, but that's valid. And then we'll say, now in our messages, we can ask it a question about the video. Now, well, for now, we'll just do a static question. And then after that, we'll turn it into a chatbot style where we can both ask for the URL of the YouTube video and then ask it questions. So then we'll have to essentially modify the system prompt after we get the transcript for the video. But for now, we'll just do a once through static run of the program on the video. And then when we're done with that, we'll turn it into like a program you can use in a repeatable way by providing a YouTube URL. Now, as much as never going to give you up is funny, we probably want a video that's actually got like text in it. You can tell my kids use this account because all the videos being suggested are like Mr. Beast and stuff. So let's find what's a good video. Oh, okay. Let's do slow German news. So we'll show an example of something going from German to English as well, because we'll get the news in German and then we'll ask it questions in English, because that might be like a fun thing to do. So let's get that URL. That's going to download that, transcribe it, hopefully using Assembly AI, which let's again hope that it supports German. It is then going to put it into this assistant, and then let's ask it a question. What happened in the news? And we'll just see what happens. Let's run it. All right, downloading the news, blah, 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 all the verbose output from YTDLP. Thankfully, it's a small video. Okay, error, no such file, yt.mp4. So what did it actually save it as? It actually saved it as mp4.mkv for some reason. Okay, that's fine. Let's just edit our demo, let's edit our YouTube Python file and just change the file name. I'm not too worried about why it chose to do that. Now it's going to download it again, but whatever. Let's just leave it the way we originally intended it. It has already been downloaded. That's great. It remembered that, which is pretty cool. All right. So now I assume the Assembly AI thing is doing its thing. One thing I would usually do in a program like this is add print statements in there. So you know what's going on. So the program's just exited without doing anything. And that's because I had this chat completion thing commented out. And also we're not printing out the reply. So let's maybe, while we're at it, oh no, I'm not going to copy the loop yet. I'm going to stick with the plan. So we'll just copy that little bit that prints out the response from the chat completion, because we want to actually see what it has to say for itself. But the good news is, and I'll just show you an example. So here what you might do is you might say print downloading YouTube video ... Then here you say print transcribing video ... And then down here you would say print calling llama 3, right? And this will just give us an idea of where we're up to in the program as it runs. So, I mean, you see it up there, downloading YouTube video, transcribing video. Obviously all this junk has sort of clouded it a little bit, but you get the idea. Okay, transcribing's on the way. And then once that's done, we'll hit up Llama 3 on Groq and see if it can answer. Okay. Discriminator property role has invalid value. All right, I must have made a mistake in here somewhere. So we've got role system role. Oh, Sorry, I'm sure everyone watching the video noticed that. And they're like, look at this idiot. So the role is user here, obviously, and this should be content. Sorry about that. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so let's run it again. We'll have to go through the transcription again. Now, you could obviously do things in your program like caching. So if you know you've already transcribed a certain video, you could save it against that file name, for example, and know, okay, we don't need to call off to Assembly AI again. I'm sure on this trial I've just signed up for, there's a limit to how much you can do. So hopefully we won't hit that. All right, so here we go. So we've asked it what it's about. The news is about Twitter blocking fake news and taking measures to stop the spread of information, especially political campaigns. Then it's done the one-liner we asked for. One tweet can change the narrative, but one block can change the game. Okay. And so that's kind of cool because this video is all in German and we've asked it a question in English based on the transcription, and it's been able to do that. So I think the next step now is to turn this into a generic program where we can ask it for the YouTube link at the start. Oops, we've accidentally imported that twice. So we'll say, okay, input, or we might say print, welcome to the YouTube question asking AI thing. Sorry about that. Input, please provide a YouTube URL. Okay, we always put a space at the end so they know like they've got to enter something. I don't know what looks better. And we'll say, we'll say YouTube URL equals. Now, here you would probably want to do some basic validation, like check that it's actually a YouTube URL, check that it's actually a URL in the first place, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to leave that out for now, and we're just going to be nice to our program. So here, we could come up with a random file name here as well, like using something like UUID. So you could say import UUID file name equals UUID.v4, which will make a unique file name, because it looks like it's adding MKV to the file, whatever we do. And so here you'd say file name, right? Instead of that. And then down here, we change this to an F string, change this to file name. We might as well just do this. And then it'll have a unique file name per video that it downloads. And then here, we obviously want to change this to YouTube URL, which is the URL they've provided us. So we'll now download whatever they say. We'll now save it to that file name, which will just be some random shit made by UUID. We'll now transcribe that file name. And then we say, you are an assistant that takes transcripts. So that's our system message. But then what we want to do is we want to loop like before. So we want to say while true, and we're going to indent this. Now we're going to have to set the system message every time because, well, actually, no, we're not. What am I talking about? No, we're not. Sorry. That can stay outside like it was before. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Okay, so set the system message. The YouTube transcript is going to be exactly the same like we did before. While true, now we say input, just an empty prompt for the user, and we'll say user input equals. Then we'll add that to the messages like we did before, just fixing the indenting there. Oops, Emacs is doing its magic. So we'll say user input like before. We'll then say, we'll skip the printing calling LLAMA 3 because that's not very professional in the middle of our chatbot. And then we'll say messages equals messages. We'll go get the assistant message, print it. And then finally, we'll add that to the messages like we did before. Messages.append so it knows what it said. Role is assistant and content is assistant message. Close that off. And so now we should have a working system that asks for a YouTube URL, downloads it, transcribes it, and allows you to chat with it. So like chatwithyoutube.com, we've now made a startup. Python, YouTube. Okay, please provide a URL. So let's pick a different item of German, or maybe something completely different. Let's say talk tallest statues in the world. That's a 15-minute video. I don't know how long this transcript's going to be. Let's see if we can cope with something so long. So we paste that URL in. All right, the UUID thing didn't work. Not sure why. So for now, we'll just call it YouTube file. We'll just hard code it just for the interest of this. It's not going to affect anything because we're only doing one file per thing. Might just pick a slightly shorter video because we don't want to be waiting around all day for it to go. How long is this one? 28 minutes, 12 minutes. Oh. 4 minutes. If Squid Game was actually Asian.
Oh, look who's sleeping.
Okay. Let's try that one. So that's like before. So this is good. So this is the first time we've provided it with a custom YouTube video URL, and that seems to be working, which is nice. The only thing I note is that it saved it as a WebM file. So I'm wondering if we're going to fail at the translation step because I hard coded the MKV at the end of it. So that's a little bit annoying that it's just deciding its own extension. So you don't, even though you're telling it the file name, it's not knowing what it is, if you know what I mean. So I have a feeling we're going to see a failure at the transcribe step. Perhaps not. Oh, yes, we did. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty annoying. I'm not exactly sure how to fix that. And like just off the top of my head. So we'll just change that to WebM. But there would be a way to fix that by getting the proper file name out of YouTube DLP to make sure that you're always hitting the right file name when you read it. But just for now, I'll just change it and just to get it going for the purposes of the demo. So we're now transcribing and then hopefully we'll end up with a chatbot, which we can then ask questions about this Squid Game video. I mean, it's not the most intellectual thing we'll do all day. But we should be able to ask some interesting questions just to see that it's able to understand it. And hopefully you get the idea of how to retrieve some input, build a basic chatbot that works with that input, which I think is a good example of the simplest kind of AI program you'd write. This transcription's taking a little longer this time. I guess the video is a bit longer than the one we used before. The German videos are only about 3 minutes, I think, and this one was like 10. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll also be interesting to see if the transcript can fit inside the context window. And if it can't, might have to try a different video. And I'm going to do another video on how to do RAG, which is where you've got more text that you want to talk to than the model can support. All right, so we'll continue waiting for this. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. So Assembly AI is pretty good and they keep sending updates. So it says that currently on the free plan, you can transcribe up to 100 hours in total. So this is the great thing. So everything I've shown in this video so far is free. You can use Groq for free right now. I think they have rate limits, but nothing that you're going to hit doing this kind of work that we're doing. Assembly AI is free for 100 hours and up to 5 files concurrently. So that's pretty good. 100 hours. I mean, that's pretty generous. Okay, so we got up here and unfortunately we got an error in our chat completion. It says user message cannot be null or empty. So let's have a look at what we did wrong. So user message, we said user message equals user input. Oh, no. Okay, chat completion. Let me have another look at that error. I don't understand. Messages 1. So 1 in a reference means the second one in the array because it's 0 indexed. So let's have a look at what we did wrong there. So our first message is obviously the system one, and then we asked for user input, but it didn't actually ask for my input, did it? Maybe it's this indenting thing. No, because I think we were using for elsewhere. I don't understand. Because it should have asked for our input before proceeding. Unless the indent on this one is not right. I don't know. That's weird. Let's try again. I'm just going to try this time. I don't want to make you wait. So I'm just going to try with another German video just because I know they're 3 minutes long. Oh, wait. The last one was. How long is this one?
Learn German with great German.
Sorry. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. I want a short one. 13 minutes. 10 minutes. 9 minutes. Maybe we will have to go back to Rick Astley. 6 minutes.
Herr
Okay.
Vogel.
Let's try this one. And we'll see what our error is. So this is part of when you're working on a program. You'll spend a lot of time with some random bug that you're just like, what the hell? This doesn't make any sense. And then usually, in my experience, it ends with saying, I'm an idiot. I can't believe I didn't notice that. So I'm not saying it's the program's fault. It's definitely my fault. But looking at that code, I just can't see what's wrong. And so sometimes you've just got to add logging, figure things out. You can see why I mentioned earlier, like saving a copy of the transcription might be a good idea, because if you're iterating on a program like this, you don't want to have to wait every single time for the video to transcribe. First of all, you're going to use up all your free credits. And secondly, like I'm just sitting around here filling time waiting for this thing to transcribe, only to almost certainly hit the same error we hit last time. So the smart thing to do would be save a copy of the transcription, or just use static text, which is probably what I should have done now I think about it, until you can get the program fully running. Then once you've got it fully running, then sure, you can let it transcribe each time. So if this fails again, I'll just put some random text in instead of the transcription, iterate till we solve the problem, and then we can put the transcription back in. So in this case, we're going to have to wait because it's sunk cost fallacy, and we've already used up the time. So let's wait, see. Hopefully it works because of that indent fix, and if not, we'll try another way and figure it out. Okay, so given the timing on this video, I don't think I'm going to do the PDF method, but just to show you the way I would go about it, I would go to someone like Claude or our angry chatbot and say, can you write me a Python program which gets me all the text from a PDF? Okay, so our program failed again for the same reason as expected. So to do what I said earlier, what we'll do is we'll cut out the transcript and we'll just say ttext equals fuck you bot, and so we'll do that, and then we'll see why, for whatever reason, our user input doesn't happen. I think it might be an indenting issue. So we'll try just fixing the indent here. Sometimes it happens in Python if you like mix tabs and spaces, for example, that it'll have a scoping issue where it'll sort of like it's clearly entering this loop because it's actually running the chat completion. So I might say here print what the hell, and then we'll print here print what the hell too, right? And we'll just run it and just see what order these things run in. So please provide a YouTube URL. So we'll do that. It'll have already downloaded that. This time we don't have to wait for the transcription. Okay, so now it is waiting for a question. What is the text about? I might get angry about this because I've just told it. No need to get salty. I'm just trying to help. That's an easy one. The text appears to be a rude statement or insult directed at the bot, possibly even me. Oh man, I love Llama 3. How good is it? It's so good. Okay, so turns out it was an indenting issue, and I apologize for that because it's partly just from using Emacs and you can't see the special tokens. So we'll put this back, and we will now run it for real, and we'll give it Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up, because that's what it really wants, right? So we'll put that in, let it transcribe, and then we'll ask it some questions about the song. Meanwhile, let's go back to Claude, and you'll see, I mean, Claude is very verbose. It will add all this extra crap you didn't ask about. It's like I asked for the program, not the full description. But you can see here, to answer your question, This Day in AI Discord member, here's how you would extract the text from a PDF. So this program will work with PyPDF. Now, there's also LLAMA Index, or what's the other one called? I'm just trying to remember the name that everybody uses for RAG. But anyway, there's these really good libraries for extracting text from PDF. Now, you can even do it if the PDF is an image. It can use OCR to actually get the text from the image. And so there's lots of good programs that will extract the text. You don't really need AI to do it, but you could use it as an input here. So like, give me the path to the PDF file, the name of the PDF file, run it through something like this, get the text, then pass that into your chatbot, for example. Okay, so now we've got it. What is the song about? There's no transcript provided. What happened there? Okay. What happened to our program this time? T-text. Well, there definitely should be. Print. The transcript is T-text. Let's see what happened. Maybe it's something about never give you up. We definitely should have it. That's weird. Okay. So we're hitting all the errors late in this piece. But yeah, so this is how you would extract the text from a PDF, and then you'd use a very similar technique to what we've just done in order to chat with it. Okay, just waiting for the translation of this song again. I'm not sure if maybe Assembly AI had an error, because note that in our program, we're not really bothering to check for errors at any point. Like, we're just prototyping, so you just assume everything's going to be successful. In a real program, you'd be checking the status codes of the response and making sure you actually get something along the lines of what you expect. Because otherwise you can just lead to unexpected errors like this, where you're like, I actually don't know what's going on. Maybe Assembly AI just has difficulty with music. I mean, it's quite possible that's an issue. I haven't actually tried it on a song before. All right, so let's just wait for this to finish up. You maybe listen to the song while we wait. Does that mean my video will get banned? I don't really know YouTube very well. Oh well, worth it. That's a good question. We can ask him what they aren't strangers to. How old do you reckon he was? Alright. Taking a long time. So this is the other thing with some of these models. You get, sometimes it'll be super fast, other times it'll be really slow. And I guess it's about hardware availability on the other side. Like, so in this case, maybe we're just in a queue on Assembly AI's translation stuff. It's unclear. But you need to be careful. And this is one reason why ultimately running your own models is really good, because you control the hardware. You can predict how long the model's going to take to do something. Whereas when you're relying on these third-party cloud services, anything can happen. All right, there we go. So why does this look like squeaking? Oh, an old cousin came back and told me the game. Why did you sign us up for Scrap? Do you have Netflix? Okay, so unless I've pasted the wrong video, my apologies. No? Okay, so that's really weird. Assembly AI has given the wrong data. So that's really weird. Can you summarize the text in 3 dot points? Okay, so the video features a game or challenge that involves solving puzzles or quizzes. One of the participants... Oh, okay. Sorry. I know what's happened. And so this is a weakness in the program. Remember I set it to a static file name? YouTube has then said... The YouTube DLP has then said, okay, well, we've already downloaded this file. So it hasn't overridden the file that I have on the disk. So this is one of the kids' videos that I've done. That's What If Asians Did Squid Game or whatever. And so that's why it's answering questions about that. So yeah, so that isn't a mistake in any of the Assembly AI or anything like that. That's a mistake in my program by using a static file name. So that's where you'd want to use a custom file name per thing using the UUID technique. So let's just ask Claude quickly how to do that. How do I use UUID in Python to give a unique file name. So this is the way I use the AI, just because Python's fairly new to me. So like this just allows me to very quickly figure it out. Again, it's like really going into a lot of detail. So I was close. I thought I did the UUID. Oh, I think I wrote something for, but anyway, you get the idea. I'll just show quickly how to correct that program at the end. But you see, it's still doing our one-liners that we asked about. Would you recommend this video for a class of kindergarten children? If not, why not? Let's see what it says about that. Okay, I would not recommend it. The language and tone used in the videos are more suitable for an older audience with some sarcastic and humorous comments. Additionally, the video includes some themes and concepts such as concept of college applications and rejections that may be too complex for the children. Kindergartners deserve kid-friendly content, not Harvard-level drama. Cool, so you can see like we've made a fairly sophisticated bot in not that many lines of code. And so just to finish things off, the way you would fix this, that issue we saw earlier, is just to paste in what Claude recommended, which is the file name equals string of uuid.uuid4, which is just unique string .text. We don't want or need the extension. And so that would then fix the program so you wouldn't get the videos conflicting with each other. I also note here I accidentally uncommented this line, which is why things got slow, because we were translating one of their sample files as well as the others. All right, so hopefully that gives you a good example of how to do some basics of AI running locally. I mean, we're using cloud libraries to do it, but it's a simple Python program that helps you figure out how to use this stuff. All right.